Hi, my name is Cindy. I have got some great gift ideas for you. It's May right now, so I'm thinking Mother's Day and end of school, so I'm thinking teacher's gifts and maybe even a Father's Day gift, who knows. Then there's Christmas and all kinds of gift ideas. So come along, let me show you what I got. I've got a super easy project for you. We're going to make a scissor holder, and it's even easier if you can find a hot pad that has the tab on the corner, the hanger on the corner. I couldn't find one at the store, so I'm just going to show you how to make one, but it's just really easy. So I have my top fabric, my back fabric, and a piece of felt just to stabilize it a little bit. And then I have two pieces of felt just to strengthen the corner where the scissors are going to hang. And I've cut this on point because it's going to hang on point, and I wanted my hearts to be in this direction. The piece of fabric that I had to turn it just a teeny bit, so don't let it bug you that it's a little off center, because you won't see that at all when it's made. Okay, so what we want to do is put the Levi, that's what I want on my back fabric. And then I want this to be on my front fabric. And of course I need to make sure my direction is in the right direction that I want it to be. And so my pieces of fabric that I want to strengthen are going to be down here in this corner. So I'll put one inside, and then I'm going to put one on top of it that will actually be inside when we fold it. And I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew this down now, and I'll be back. Okay, and then just to show you, I didn't actually sew it to the back because I didn't want my stitching to show on the back side. But I did sew it really close to the edge of the fabric, of the felt, so that the scissors didn't catch it and pull it down in when you put the scissors down in. Okay, so now what we're going to do is put the bias tape on it. And so I want to open it up, and I want to sew, which side? Okay, so I want to sew on the one side first, and then we'll flip it over and sew it on the back side. So I'll take you to the sewing machine and we'll show you that. And I want to bring it down a little bit to begin, because when I get it up here to the top, I'm going to do the loop and come down here and join it in. And I don't want it to join right at the loop. So we'll start it down here just a little bit. And then we'll get down here to the bottom and do the corner. Keep it together. Careful to get my corner on there just right. And I did the thing people dread all the time. I was going without filming. So I'm going to do just a little recap, not necessarily on the sewing machine, but just to show you what I did. Because when I got to the sewing machine, I took everything off that I had pinned on because it was backwards to my way of sewing it on. And so when I took it off, then I redid all my corners the correct way in quilting when you do your corners. And so I wasn't able to show you any of that. So I'm just going to show you briefly by pinning it. And this would be backwards again to me, but since I'm not going to actually sew this, I'm just going to show you what I did. So I had pinned all this on before like this and got to the corner. And when I was sewing it, I was like, wait, there's a quilting way of doing the corner, and I had to refresh my memory. And you get to the corner and you stop, and then when you're going to turn, you actually turn your fabric so that it goes parallel, or yeah, matches up with your corner here. And then you continue sewing on. So you sew about to that point, and then you flip your fabric over and you start sewing again, and you sew on down. And so that's what I did when I came to all my corners. And so then when I flipped it over, and you actually saw me sewing on the binding. So I started and I went around and I sewed my loop, and now I'm going on the rest way around the hot pad. It's not really a hot pad because I didn't put the filter in it for the hot pad, but turn the corner off just a little bit in here. Take the bulk out. Take the corner out. I love the needle down feature on the new sewing machines these days. Makes life so much easier. Oh, stop doing take the corner off. Come on. So I'm just going to fix the wall. Okay, we got that part done. Now we'll go back to the table. Now what you do is bring it over here and fold it. So you gotta be careful with your corner, kind of bring it over. Don't bring your corner all the way, because you gotta fold the other one over. And then bring that one over, and you do want to bring it as close as you can. And then you're gonna hand sew this part all the way up. Just kind of get it as centered as you can with your top up there. Hand sew it all the way up, and then you can put some sort of a cute button or something. I happen to have one that has a heart on it, so I might put that on there. And then I like to put some pins on it. And sometimes I'll add a bunch of little ones to it or something. And then when I give it, I just kind of put a idea of some scissors, and the scissors just go right down in there. And then you hang it up wherever you need to hang it up at. And it's just nice and easy, simple, and cute. And like I say, if you buy a hot pad already with the corner hook, you're nice and easy and good to go fast. Just add a button and some trim and you're ready to go. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you very much. I have another good project that is fun for teachers, moms, sisters, whoever you need to have a gift for. I love to have my towel hooked on my handle, by my stove, by my sink, wherever, because my towel always goes walking and I like it right there by my sink. So I can never have too many of these. And I bought this towel so I can replace one of mine that I have, but it's also something I like to give for neighbor gifts or for my mom for Mother's Day. These are not the right scissors to really be cutting with, but I don't want to use my fabric scissors, so I just grabbed what was close. But I got my towel and I got my pot holders. And I've got to cut the tags off so we can get to them. Now, in order for this one to work with a pot holder, then you need to make sure that your hanging tab is in the middle. It won't work if it's on the side unless you're gonna do it. I guess it would work that way if you put your towel on that side, but I usually put my towel, see if I can just rip that off, so I don't need that on there. And I probably want my plain red to be on the outside that I see all the time, just because it, well, either way matches, but I like the plain red for myself too. So that means that we're going to sew the towel on the outside because it'll hang that way. I like mine double. Sometimes people will cut them in half and just sew half of the towel on there, but I like the whole towel on there, so that's what I'm going to do. There's a couple of ways you can do it. You fold it in half, and then you can do a gathering stitch across here so you can pull it tight, but I find it just as easy to just pin it on there and make it fit. Okay, the tab needs to be at the back side so that as it hangs on the handle, then the tab will come over and hook onto your button from the back side so that your button's on the front. So we want to make sure that the tab is our back side. So I want to turn it that way so that we can, well, I guess it doesn't matter. The towel's going to be either way because it's versatile. So, okay, so we want to turn it inside out, find our halfway point. Halfway point's right here. And right here. Okay. And then the halfway point on our towel. Is right here. It has a crease in it, but I'm not sure that that's exactly the half point. On this side it happened to be, but I'll mark it anyway. Okay. Now we're going to match up our halfway points. Whoops, upside down. If you're a clipper, you can use your clips. I like pins. For some things I like clips for sure. Okay. I could find my halfway point here, and put it there. then just kind of gather it, fold it in. You could even just pleat it if you wanted to just pleat it. Basically, you just want it on there so it'll hold. Like I say, if you're, really want it to be super even or whatever, then you can gather it. Let's move it over just a little bit so we can have a little more in the middle. I've done both ways. This is actually just the lazy fast way. Because sometimes towels don't gather as easily as fabric does for the bulk of the fabric. Come on. Okay, now we'll go to the sewing machine and just sew straight across there, and we'll almost be done. Hopefully you can see okay there. I'm going to pull my pin out so I don't break my needle. And you just want to back stitch pretty good so that it doesn't come off there. And basically you just want to sew straight across there. Okay, pretty good straight across on the back. Okay, so here's how it came out. It might not be exactly in the center because it looks like my back is a little, but that really doesn't matter. And when it hangs, you're not going to see that at all. But my back side happens to be, this towel happens to be two-sided. That's just the exact same. Okay, then the only thing we have to do is put a button on there. I have a whole bunch of buttons. And all I got to do is make sure that I got a button that this will go over top of. And I'm actually going to choose one that has the raised part on the back so that it comes over and has a better chance to hang there with. Let me grab my needle right ahead. Oops, I should have had my needle ready. I didn't. Oh, I do have one ready. I'll use this one right here. Ouch. Okay. I could use white or black, but I kind of like the gold tone, so we're going to put a gold one on there. Just put your knot on the back and come through and sew your button on. However many times you won't feel like you need to stitch it to make sure it's going to stay there nice. So you feel like it's solid. That's all you need to do. And if you don't have a sewing machine, you can sew this by hand across there. Across here, you could sew it by hand and it would work just exactly the same. So it doesn't even really require a sewing machine. So there you go. You don't have to have that skill if you don't want to, or don't have it. And buttons are easy to sew on, so tie us a little knot. Bury the thread. Trim it off. Trim off our other little ones. And there's our button. And we're all done. Nice and easy. I love it. And like I say, there's all kinds of ways you can sew one to go on there, but a hot pad is so nice and easy. Thanks for watching. Please click like and subscribe if you like this, and come back to be with me again. Thank you. One thing that's nice and easy to make is a pin cushion. I like to use a jar. They call them a jam jar or whatever. This particular one happens to be made by Kerr, but I think Ball makes them, or whoever. You can also use the plastic sandwich jar things that they make, but I like the glass, and I like to be able to see through because I can keep pins or thimbles or whatever else I need down inside here and see what's in here. So you need your lid, both lids, the seal lid and the ring. And then I've cut my piece of fabric, so we're going to get that out of the way. Turn it over, and then I got me a fair amount of stuffing because I want it really, really stuffed, and it just cinches right down to nothing, so I've got that on there. I'm going to turn this over this way. And then you can use a needle and thread if you'd like to go around and bring it in, cinch it in tight. And so I like to do that a little bit, but I also want to just get it started. And then I'm going to put some hot glue. I should have done this first, but I'm holding on to and it doesn't have to be nice and neat, it just helps pull the fabric in. But I want to put some hot glue on the lid to help it stay there. And my hot glue gun is getting warm. I don't poke myself here. All right, I'm going to let go of that just a second. Since I'm not an octopus and I can't get all of my hands and fingers to do everything at the same time. I only have 2, but you know, 5 fingers on each hand, but still. Okay, getting close. And I'll pull that through. My knot is right here. Get that started. Okay, then I want to put my stuff in there. Now it could be done in a couple of ways. I could cinch it in now and glue it on the top of the lid, but I kind of like it better if I can go and glue it on the underneath side of the lid. Let's see if that's gonna work for 100% sure. I haven't done one of these for a while, so I'm kind of trying it as we go here with you. Get it all under there. Yeah, I think I'm gonna like that better because it'll just keep it in there. It might make us tighter to... Okay, so here we go. We're gonna put our hot glue in here. Okay, I was trying to glue it underneath and I changed my mind. So we're back up a step or two. And I'm gonna go around here again with my thread and tighten this up. And we'll glue it on top because the lid popped off when I tried to glue it underneath because it was just too much pressure and it couldn't tighten when it screwed on. So let's do it right. It'll work better maybe this way anyway. Either way, if you don't have it so full, then it works too. Okay, I just lost my end to pull it because here we are. Thought I pulled it too tight. I've got to be able to pull it, cinch it in there. Okay. Much better. And it doesn't all need to be, you know, in there super tight because sometimes having some of this in the glue is the best because it glues better than the fabric sometimes, so that's not a problem. Get this tied enough so it will stay there. Okay, I'll even leave some threads. All right, so I'm just going to put all kinds of glue, and I have it tightened onto my jar right now so that it will be on there right. Get under there, and we'll just press that down on there. And it'll look like a muffin top, but you know, that's okay. Gives it some cuteness. Just trying to hold on a minute here. Okay. So it comes off, and you can put hold all your clips in the bottom. And your pins on top. And the needle I even just used. So that's a nice and easy way to make a pin cushion. You can do it with, like I said, any fabric. Make it match your shop or your decor, whatever works for you. Or if you have a favorite fabric. I just happened to have this close and I thought it was fun looking, so I just grabbed that. You can do it with scraps, a bunch of scrap pieces. You can sew them together and make a Mod Podge, whatever. Just kind of a fun gift idea. So good luck making yours. I have an easy project for you today. Makes a nice gift for anybody who might need a bag. I have one that I use for crafting, that I actually keep my floss, my DMC floss in for cross stitch and stuff like that. This could be made for sewing, for hair, for whatever you want. What it is basically is a store-bought placemat. We're going to put a zipper around the edge so it'll zip up. We could add some handles. I haven't put handles on them before, but sometimes in this case it might be nice to have some handles on it. But I have measured the inside of my placemat here where I want to add my pockets, and I have pre-cut and sewn my sides. And so what I'm going to do is turn this under. I'll sew that in here. I'll sew the sides under, sew this side under, and sew it down. And then once we sew it to the side, I'm not going to sew it here, but I am going to make some lines here, which makes pockets for whatever, and then I will sew right across the middle. And once you do that, then you have pockets for pins, for scissors, for combs. Just depends on what you want to use it for. It's just nice and handy to be able to take with you when you're on the run. You can use it for makeup because, you know, once you close it up, then you have the whole inside as a bag, and then you can have your lipsticks and mascara, whatever you want to be able to put in a pocket. So I'm gonna iron this now and make my edges, and then I'll take it to the sewing machine and I'll sew these edges down first because I don't want them sewn to the placemat, and then I will take you to the sewing machine and sew these down to the side. Show you how that works. Okay, I've been to the sewing machine and I sewed the hem, or the, on the top and the bottom of this. And now I need to find my center so I can mark it, put it in the center of the, oh my goodness, placemat. Excuse me. My mind goes blank. I hate it when I do that, because then I also feel really dumb. Anyway, it happens. And I'm sure it happens to you too, so. Okay, there's the center of that one. Now I'm going to fold this in half and mark my center of this one. Okay. Make sure it's right side up. Center, center. Excellent. Okay. Pin that on. And I'll clip. Oops. Clip while you find it, right? Otherwise you forget. Okay. Grab a couple more of my clips. Looks like I have one on this side too. Okay. And I'm gonna sew straight across here. I'm just gonna kind of give myself a tiny bit of a mark. Hopefully that didn't, in fact it didn't show at all, which is kind of okay. We'll just pin it. I have a white chalk, but I don't know how much I'd see it. So Then just need to determine how we want to do our pockets, what size pockets you want to have. I'm going to leave one that's just a little bit larger for my center pocket, and then I'll probably make 2 smaller pockets on the side, just because I don't know exactly what I'm going to use it for. And if worse comes to worse, I can take one out and take a line of stitching out and have larger pockets. But for now, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to go to the sewing machine and sew down the sides here across the center, and then I'll mark my lines where we're going to make the pockets. So I'm going to go across my center first. Try not to hit my pins because I need to leave them there. Okay, then I'm going to go down the side. Give it a little extra there. Okay, the other side. Okay, now, and no, not for any particular reason, but what I did was measure my pockets to be 2 inches here, and then it's 4 inches here, and then it's about 2.5 inches here, and then 1.5 inches there, because it's 12.5 inches across here. And so I just left a little skinnier and a little wider over here, just because. Like I say, I don't have anything in particular planned for these pockets, so I just picked random but organized at the same time. And please feel free to mark your lines better if you feel like you need to do that. I'll admit I just get a little bit lazy. But it's not going to go to the state fair for judging or anything like that. It's just going to be a functional pouch, and I don't think perfection matters. And if it suits you, you can make these pockets shorter if you want to. You could go longer if you wanted to, but then in this particular case, it gets up into my curves, and I didn't want to be measuring around the curves. Last one. Go the other way just for room sake, under the neck of the machine. clip my threads. And then next we're going to put on the zipper. So we got to measure how far along that we need our zipper. Okay, I buy my zipper online, and I buy it in long rolls so that I can just cut where I need to. So I could just measure this, but instead I'm just going to, sorry, I had to grab my pins. I should have brought them with me. Instead I'm just going to pin it on as I go, but I'm going to leave a little bit here on the ends, and at the end I'll put on my the zipper pull. And I'm going to leave myself a little bit of room, because at the end I will try to sew this so it hits together. So we got to do it upside down. And here's my center mark. So I'm just going to give myself some room there. Gotta give myself a, oops, not there just yet, right here. I gotta give myself just a little bit of a corner to go around. And some people like to use tape, double-sided tape to tape that in. And if you like to do that, that's a great idea. Go for it. And if you have better tips than I do here, go for that too. Okay. And I am going to do a double zipper. So I'll add a zipper on this side, and I'll add a zipper on this side, and it'll meet in the middle up here so that you can have it meet. So you can just go part way at the top if you want to. You can go all the way down if you want to. You can just make it as flexible as you need it to be. Sometimes your this one happens to have kind of the curve, the steeper curve. Sometimes they're just round, and sometimes you have a square one. So it just depends on whatever placemat you choose to buy or to use or to make. You could make your own. I just like to do fast and easy, and it was showed to me this way, so I like to do it fast and easy too. Okay, getting there. Okay. And I'll cut that off, and I like to seal the edges with a flame. So I take my lighter to it just to melt it so it doesn't fray for me. I'll go to the sewing machine and sew this on now. Okay, I've got my zipper foot on, and I came out a little ways away from the center because I'm not sure if I'm going to tuck my edges under or whatever, so I'll have to finish tacking them at the end. But I'll go on around and sew this side on. this right away. And the same thing over here, I'm going to end just a little early so I can have room to play. Okay. Okay, so I got both my zipper pulls on and I met them up here at the top in the middle. And I've turned it inside out so that I can pin the rest of it on. And technically I could just pull this apart now, but I'm gonna hold off. Well, we have to do it. In the past, I've only done a one-way zipper, so this is a new ballpark for me to try to do this the other way. So I'm learning along with teaching you how to do this double zipper. Okay, well, and I didn't grab my pins again. One of my next projects is to show you how to make a pin cushion around that hooks around your sewing machine, because I desperately need one. So if I need one, I'm going to show you how to make one. I think I need new pins too, because mine are kind of they're old. I've had them a long time. Okay. Probably what I'm going to end up doing down here is just folding one under and bringing it over on the top of itself. Okay, other side. Just a little bow tuck right there. I think I pulled too far, so I'm gonna bring it down here, because somewhere along the line I'm gonna have some extra, because it should pull. To meet, so it's gonna stretch somewhere. Okay, I'll go to the sewing machine and sew it on. Okay, so I've sewn it on both sides now, and now we're going to turn it inside out and see if we did it right. Like I say, this is the first time I've put on a double-sided zipper, so you're learning along with me. We're going to take it down to the sides now, see if we can zip it back up. And I need to do some sewing probably down here to where it will stop. Okay. maybe that wasn't the best way to do that. Okay, so it will open up pretty flat, but maybe not all the way flat if the zipper's like that. But it should zip back up now. And like I say, I'll tack that down here so it won't come undone. There you go. And if we put some handles on it, you can add some handles right here, open it back up, attach and sew on some handles, both sides, however big, long you want, or if you want it to be shoulder-ish, you can put them out here and make it longer. I personally am not going to put handles on it because I like to just put mine in my carry bag and take it with me wherever I go. But who knows, maybe I'll change my mind and put some handles on it. But there you go. It's nice and simple and easy, and you need to put your supplies in there. You can, I wouldn't put the scissors in here like that, but just to show you a pocket. And then if I had my marking pencils or something, my pen, if I put it back out. Just depends on what you're, oh, I got it dirty somehow. What you're going to put in there. Like if it's makeup, then you can put your other things in there and just put your stuff in the middle, and off you go. And if you're crocheting and you got crocheting and thread and your yarn, I mean, and then you can put it in here and off you go. Just kind of a nice little thing. And if you do just a one zipper, it's a whole lot easier than trying to figure out the two. But now that I've done it, it's not so hard. It was just the figuring out. Anyway, good luck on making your project. And please give me a thumbs up and a subscribe, a like, and thanks for watching. See you next time. I've got an easy and a great gift idea for you. They're great for moms and dads and brothers and sisters and anybody who loves pillowcases and fun things. I gave my parents a gift one year for Christmas of pillowcases for every month. Most of them had holidays. Most of the months had holidays in it, so I did the holiday that was in the month. The other months that didn't have the holidays, I just did something fun. And they thought it was a great novel idea. And they still use them to this day. So this one just happens to be that I had a lot of Naughty or Nice Grinch. And my daughter loves Grinch. But I'm going to make one up for you just to show you how easy and simple they are to do. I'm going to do it with French seams. If you have a serger, great. They make the insides just as great. Then you can not have any fraying inside the pillowcase. But the French seam tucks everything inside, so you don't have any raw seams at all. I happen to have this green that I thought was kind of fun, that looked a little bit like Grinchy fur. It's not, but when you're picking out your fabric, just remember that you're sleeping on it, so you don't want anything that's glittery or bumpy or textury or whatever, even though they're cute and fun. You want to be able to sleep on it nice and not have it rough up your skin and be uncomfortable. So this one is just cotton, has nothing to it. The other thing you want to watch is the direction. If it's a directional fabric, you got to make sure that you put your the top at the top, and I guess you could put it at the bottom, but it might be a little funny. I mean, once it goes on a pillow, I don't know that there's a top and a bottom of your pillow, but you do want to have your flap, what do you call this thing? The top. And so mine is a directional fabric, so I've got to make sure that I watch for that. Your fabrics, your top is 9 inches, and then it's the width of your fabric, so this one's 45 inches wide. And I'm going to take off the selvages. Chances are the selvages would sew in, but I don't like to have the texture, the little dots that have, and then the white, just in case the white happens to not go into the seam. I don't want to have it in there. This one doesn't have anything as far as the dots or the texture, but it does have a sealed edge. So, but and I need it to be the same width as the fabric anyway, but at the end I'll make sure that they're straight. You'll see that coming. So this piece is 9 inches by the width of the fabric. This piece is 27 inches by the width of the fabric. So if you have a special size pillow, then you're going to want to measure your pillow. And if you want the top bigger, then you're going to want to measure, make your top however big you want it. So for right now, we're going to hurry and take the selvages off, and I'm going to do it the lazy way and just keep it folded and make sure my edges are all the same. And if you are not comfortable folding that many layers at a time, then don't do it this way. But I am comfortable. And now that I've said that, I hope that my rotary cutter is going to cut all the way through. Okay. Now I think I've left a little bit of the selvage, and I have, but I know that that much of the selvage is going to go inside the seam. So I'll leave that much because I don't want to take too much of my width out for my pillow. Okay, then we're going to open it up. So I've got my top, and then we're going to take this piece, and we're going to, I should have measured my middle. I ironed it out so I don't have my crease there. Besides, you know, when they're on the bolt, they're not always, the crease isn't always in the center anyway. So I've ironed it, and I'll just mark. Some of you mark by a divot clip with the scissors. I just happen to mark with pins. This one I still have at the middle. Come on. Okay. So I want them facing each other. See, there's the fold that would have been on the bolt, and it was not center, so it's a good thing we didn't rely on that. Okay, and I just want to clip all along, pin I should say, or clip, whichever you choose to use. Oh, and I didn't grab all my pins. Shame on me. It's allergy season, happens to be the end of April, and of course I'm doing Christmas fabric at the end of April, but I wanted to hurry and get this video out there in case you needed Mother's Day ideas, because Mother's Day is coming up. And what a fun gift that would be for your mother that could change her pillows, even if it's just for a pillow that's on the couch. You could make one that was the size of the pillow on the couch. You have to measure the pillow and make sure you add your seam allowance for the size of the pillow. Okay, we've got that. Now we're going to turn it over. And I'm going to roll up my fabric here, so I can roll it underneath, and we'll do the inside and then we'll have to pull it out. But we're gonna make a hot dog. I guess, I don't know however else some people say it differently, but we'll bring the hot dog, and I'm gonna start at the end because I didn't mark my middles, but if I just bring it together with the ends, it should end up on the end, right? Then we sew this edge, and when we get through with that, then we pull it inside out, and your seam is all the way inside, so you don't have any seams on this either. And then it's nice not to have any seam edges at all, any fraying inside your pillowcase. Almost there. Okay, now I'll take you to the sewing machine and we'll sew it. I am taking about 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and my needle adjusts, so I adjust my needle to match the edge of my foot because that's how I get my straight edge seam. And so we're gonna start, and of course you always want to back up and make sure your fabrics stay together. And the straighter you can go, the nicer it looks. But these are good beginner projects for people to sew too, so. Mistakes do hide a little bit too. Don't run over my pins. I'm breaking needles. Alright, keep it lined up here. My grid fabric's trying to sneak out a little bit. I'm just going to double check since I went farther down on that end. Did I? Yes, I did. Wanted to make sure I caught it all. Okay, now we'll go back to the table. Okay, now we're just going to work at it. It takes a little bit of work to kind of work this back out, but we'll do our best. Pull it on through. Okay, now it's folded on through, pulled through, excuse me, and you've got a nice seam on this side and you've got a nice seam on this side. Now I'm going to press it, and then we're going to put it all together. We'll put it, unroll it here. And then we'll pin it, and I like to do the bottom first. Let's see. No, I don't. I want to do the side first because I want to make sure if there's any extra that it goes into the bottom. So, actually, without stopping to go iron, I think I'm just going to see if I can just get this, finger press this part so I can get it pinned together. Because I got to cut this off. So let's match our seams here. I'm going to pull my pin back a bit so I don't cut it. So I can cut these edges off. Just pin these together a bit. Oh, now I goofed. So what we want to do is flip it the other way. We want to do it so that the seam comes to the outside first, because then when the seam is outside, then we're going to flip it around and do it to the inside. So let's try that again. Match the edges there. Okay, got that pinned, and I'll meet you at the sewing machine. Okay, here we are at the sewing machine, and I cut my edge off. I just didn't show that to you. Now, this time I'm going to take 1/4 inch of a seam, because you're going to turn it inside out, and unless you want to cut a lot of material off, you don't want to take too big of a seam. So I'm just doing 1/4, and again I've just adjusted my needle to my foot. And I just need to make sure my edges stay together. Okay, now I'm going to go press this and flip to the inside, and then I'll be back to show you again at the machine. Okay, I pressed it. When it was right side out, I pressed one seam to the side. All the way down, I just pressed it to one side. And then I flipped it inside out, and it was easier to just press it into a seam. So now I've got it all pressed together, and I'm just going to make a seam inside now, and I need to make it just a little bigger than 1/4 inch, so I'm going to go to 3/8 inch. If you feel like your seam was a little bigger than that, then you might want to clip off some edges, but I feel pretty confident that my seam stayed at 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to start. I'm going to adjust my needle over a little bit. Get me right on. And then I didn't pin it this time because it's sewn together so it can't move. And I pressed it so it's all set in place. If you pressed it well enough, then it shouldn't move on you. If you feel like you need to pin it, then or clip it, go ahead and do that. Okay, I pulled this inside out and I had a little bit of seam sticking out, so I went back and took it in just a teeny bit more. So now all of my seam is hidden except a few threads, and they'll come out, or you can clip them off, whatever. Okay, so I've pressed my seam now, and now I'm going to do the bottom. Pull my pressing mat out. And I noticed that when I got to the bottom, I had a little where it was not quite even. So I need to make sure that my bottom is even now. Or I guess I can just sew it into the, I guess I can do that. I'll just sew it in, but I do need to pin it. I always forget to bring my pins back from the sewing machine. I take them out at the sewing machine. Okay, so we'll just pin this now. What's under here? Oh, I have a crack in my mat, I guess. Okay, so same thing now at the bottom. I gotta sew it right side out, and then I gotta turn it under and sew it inside out. So I'll do that and I will be back. Okay, so I've sewn my seam at the bottom, inside, and then right side out. So make sure you press, because that really helps your seams work better when you're sewing. And then the other thing I wanted to say was, when you start sewing, start at the seam, because any extra fabric that you need to push, if it's not pinned evenly, will push over to the fold, and so it will just fold it evenly and you won't have a pucker. Now we gotta pull this out, and this is the corner, and it's gonna probably, well, yep, I am gonna get it to pull out. I say it's got a lot of seam in here because it has the seam from this side and a seam from this side, but it did pull out nicely. And then the other corner, and I've got a thread hanging out. And just pull those out so you get them. Be careful, because you don't want to pull it all the way out. Of course, this side, really what you do is just pull your threads out, and that's not what you want to do, because your seam is already, and I like to pull out here just a little bit to get my seam out here where I can push it. Because it's that way I can get it to fold a little better. And then all you got to do is press it and it's done. Simple project. If you don't know how to sew very well, this is a very easy thing to do. It's just straight edges, straight seams. French seams are pretty easy to do. Just twisting and turning. It's just twisting and turning. Sometimes my mouth works and sometimes it trips over my tongue. Just a little extra pressing. Okay, there we have it. Grinch is right side up, and the top flap is on. And it's ready to gift. Again, if you wanted to make a bunch of them for Mother's Day, or hey, you could even do it for Father's Day. Dads will have to use a pillowcase too. So anybody needs a pillowcase. And I have to tell you, it was fun. I was in the store one day getting fabric, and the lady ahead of me, there were a couple ladies together, and they were getting all this Disney fabric together. And of course, me being curious, I said, "So what you making?" And she says, "We're going on a Disney cruise, and we're making pillowcases for the kids for each night." Now let's see. No, it wasn't for each night. They were getting a gift each day, and for one of the nights, the pillowcase was the gift. And I thought that was so fun. Each kid was going to have their own pillowcase. All the fabrics were kind of different, and maybe siblings had the same, I don't know, but because I didn't ask how many kids or whatever, but they had a whole bunch of different fabrics, and so each kid was going to have their own pillowcase. And I thought, how fun for those kids. They probably just absolutely loved that. So if you like this video, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up, because it really helps out my channel a lot and keeps me going. And happy pillowcase making. Come back for more and see what I do next. Thanks for watching. Today I'm going to use some scrap fabric to make a zippered pouch case. They're easy to do, and I'm sure you've seen them around. I did them last Christmas for my friends at work. You can keep pencils in them, or makeup, or we like to use them at work for all of our cords, for our AirPods and AirPods and all that kind of stuff. This is just a piece of scrap that I'm going to use, so I'm trying to get the creases out of it. This was from an old pillowcase, actually, and this is going to be my inside, so it's not too critical to be absolutely a perfect piece of fabric. The size that I'm going to make today is a 7 by 9. I've got this is my inside, and then this is my outside fabric. You can make these any size you want, really and truly. They work up just however you want to make them. Okay, we'll get that off. Get my wool mat off here so we can cut. Got my handy dandy thing here, which ends up at 9. My mark is 7. I'm just going to go ahead and cut that off. Okay. My mark at 7 inches. And now I need 2 of those, one for each side. Silly me, I should have doubled that. And I happen to like this flower fabric. This was one of my mask fabrics. You can see where I cut out my mask. So here, 7 square. And I got choice of colors I can use for a zipper. I buy all my zippers in long lengths, so I can just cut them to the size that I want them, and I've got different colors. So I'll have to go to my stash and see what color I've got. I know I have white right here on my table, but white would work, but I might find something fun. Okay, I've got my pieces all cut here. I've got my 2 outsides, my 2 lining, and I decided that I wanted to put a little interfacing on the back of this because I'd like it to have just a little bit more body. So I've lined the back, put the interface on the back already. I've cut my zipper. I have long lengths, so I just cut to the length that I want, and then I have to put the tabs on the end. Now this is how I buy my zippers. I got these off of Amazon. You're welcome, Amazon. I'm not commissioned by them or anything. And I have fun colors, and I could have done any one of these different colors, but because we're doing pink, I chose to do pink. And it comes with my pull tabs. So I've got my pull tab on. I've got to go to the sewing machine and put this one on the end, and then we can sew it together. So to get going, I'll go do that, and then I'm going to put the front on and the lining on the back, and I guess I start sewing that way on both sides. So I will meet you at the sewing machine. All right, I've pinned my back and my front together to the zipper. I sewed the end of the zipper on, and I've put my zipper foot on, but I put it on the wrong side. There we go. And we'll get going. And make sure you back stitch. And I've made sure my fabric pieces, both front and back, are dead even with the zipper. And then after I took that pin out, it slid on me. Okay, here we go. Okay, and I've got to move my zipper so I don't go ski-wampus around it. And move it out of the way. Put my pieces back together. Okay. There's the front. And there's the back. Okay, now I'm going to show you another way that people do it. I'm going to put the front on first, and then I'm going to put the back on. Sometimes for people it's easier to see it that way, what they're doing. So we'll go from this side, and I'm actually going to switch that because I want to see what I'm doing. The first time I want to go in the same direction. The next time it won't matter as much. Okay, so I'm going to put the back on first. Let me make sure this one's so close it almost doesn't matter, but I like to have my right sides facing, so I do. Line those up. Oops, it slid on me. Maybe I need to pin to get it under there. Hold it in place. And now we got it. well, you can see where your zipper is at, actually. And if you feel better pinning, by all means, please pin or clip, whichever you prefer. Get the zipper back up here out of the way. If I can get my fingers in there to get a hold of it. And I slipped it. There we go. Now, actually having done that, I can actually go the same way because I can see the edge of my fabric. So we'll just do that. Gotta get that zipper out of the way. So in other words, if it helps you to sew one on at a time, you can do that. I sometimes just do what's fastest and easiest, and it was easy for me to do it that way, so I just did. But if it's easier for you to go one at a time, then do that. And if you have a needle down feature on your sewing machine, do that, or just put your needle down while you move your zipper so you don't lose your needle space. Okay, now we have both ways. So I'm gonna go iron this and I will come back to the sewing machine. Okay, I've pressed it, and now at this point I like to do a top stitching. Some people do and some people don't, and some people just do one side and leave the inside, the facing, not top stitched, but I personally like to do both. It's just a matter of preference. I just feel like it's more secure when it's top stitched both sides. So I need to, and I'm still using my zipper foot to do that. And if I have made sure both are really out of the way, but if you feel like you need to safety pin to keep them so that they're nice and neat, you can do that. Okay, other side. And on your top stitching, your zipper really doesn't get in the way unless you're really close to it, but in this case I was not. Okay, now at this point we're going to start by sewing sides together. This gets a little tricky with the zipper in the way because you want to try to get your sides even. And the top stitching sometimes messes with that, but you just kind of have to do your best putting it in there. When you're using a plastic zipper, it's a whole lot easier on your needle because you can run over it. I go over it slowly, but you can run over it. If you're using a metal zipper, I guess you can do it if you do it by just doing it hand over, just turning your hand wheel. Turning the wheel by hand. I don't recommend sewing over them just because it can break your needle, and I don't like to do that. So I'm gonna clip here, back over here, and try to get my ends even. And I'm actually going to box my corners just a little bit because I want this particular bag to have just a little bit of a box at the bottom. You can sew it straight and just have it flat, as this one. This one is flat. I didn't box the corners on it. It still works just fine, but when you box the corners, it just seems to give your bottom a little more area. Trying to get my pins here that are at my machine. Look at that, I tried to do two at once. Okay, and now in this side, you want to make sure that you leave an opening because you've got to be able to turn it inside out. And the other important thing is you've got to leave your zipper open. So let's do that so we don't forget, because if you don't, it's harder to turn it inside out. You really have to work at it to get your zipper open if you don't leave it open. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and do it flat, and then when we're done, we'll go over and do a boxed corner. And then I also want to mark myself here. I'm going to do it with clips just to give me a difference so that I stop to give me an opening. And now I'm on the other side where the zipper is again. Back to the other end and put them together. Look at my pins over here. And the part where I leave it open to turn inside out, I do on the inside, because when you go in and sew it up, you can just, to sew it closed, you can just do a stitch across there and you won't see it. On the outside, you would see it. So on the outside, you just want to sew it all the way closed, nice and flat. And I'm just going to give me one. With that interface on there, it's pretty straight, so it just goes. And in fact, I think I will. Whoops, I want to go back to my other foot. I could sew with that one, but I'd rather sew with my regular foot. Okay. And whether you want to do a 5/8 inch seam, a 1/2 inch, I mean, that's personal preference. It kind of doesn't matter. You just need to be able to do it the same. The same all the way around. Okay, and here's where I'm going to get to my bunch of zipper, and it's pretty thick here, so I'm going to go slow because I don't. And that may have skipped some stitches because it's so thick, so I might have to go back and stitch to that. And here's my clip, so I want to stop here. I'm just gonna jump it over. Now to be able to box my corners, sorry, I just had to clip that. I'm gonna take off my corner there. And I've got my iron warming up here so we can iron that seam open a little bit. Okay, and pull it apart. Open your seams. That corner out there. You want to make sure that your seam is the same. And then I always forget to bring my pins to and fro with me. So I don't need a big box on the bottom, so I'm just going to do it so that it's about an inch wide. So I'm going to pin it right there. Next corner. Okay, and if you need to check your seam, you can poke a needle through and see I'm just a teeny bit off. Bring it back over here to the seam. A lot of times you can feel it. You can kind of see when it's off center. And I needed to move it just a little bit because it was not folded down right. Okay, so once again, it's about an inch wide. And if you're smart, you measure it. Just to see if they're even. I went crooked with that one, see? Okay, then we'll do the lining side too. Feel and make sure my seams are the same. Oh goodness. There we go. Kind of didn't want to fold straight. Okay, now we'll go back to the sewing machine and box the corners. Okay, we're back to the sewing machine. I decided to get out my ruler so that we could be a little more accurate. So it's about a 1/2 inch in. I lied. It's about 5/8 inch in that I've put my pin. So that's where we're going to sew across our corner. If it helps and makes you feel better to draw a line across there, you're certainly welcome to do that, obviously. And it might make things easier if you want to feel like you've been more accurate. Okay, so here we are. I needed to come up just a teeny bit. And I don't know that it's going to show too horrible if it's not exactly precise, but if you're, far off, it is going to be obvious, so you want to be as accurate as you can. Okay, let's check this one. I'm almost just a teeny bit off with that one too. And the truth is, I probably want my outside to be just a little bit bigger than the inside, just so the inside is tighter fitting inside the bag. Because your outside has to go outside of it. Okay, let's check this one. And then I want to make sure I go to the tip, not just where my fabric is. The tip of the sewing, so, okay. That one's pretty much right on, even though at first it looked like it wasn't. Okay. Now I'm just going to cut those corners off so they're not too bulky. We're going to go to our opening and try to bring it all through now. And there's one of my boxed corners. Of course, I'm gonna poke it through. Oh, I got my lining in there. See if I can get my hand, my finger. Here we go. Just get my fingers in there to poke those corners. Fingers or your poke stick or your whatever you got. Okay. Come back out here and poke that one and that one, and see if we can sew our little, if you want to sew this by hand, obviously it makes it a nicer seam because you can do it where it's blind. Apparently I don't speak and work at the same time very well. Okay, and I just barely did that. I didn't catch it too bad right there, but push it back in. Gotta push my corners here. Back through. they might have a little bit of a hard time. Get my fingers in there. Sorry. Get it up here where you can see it. Okay. So I'll poke out there. Maybe I kind of did that part a little scary. Anyway. And there we are. Nice and easy. Quick, fast, and it's cute. Thanks for watching. If you like this, please give me a like and especially give me a subscribe and a thumbs up. Thank you. See you next time. One more thing I did want to tell you. I do like to take a needle and thread and just tack the corners down in there where the seams are. It just helps keep the lining inside. But there's lots of room for all your things. And it's machine washable. You can throw it in the wash when you need to. Little boxy on the bottom. And somebody's gonna love it.